Thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it today. Today I wanted to talk to you about the U.S. Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs and specifically the review of the fiscal 2024 budget and the 2025 advanced appropriations requests for the Department of Veterans Affairs. What does it look like? What kind of comments were made? And who was there? So hit the thumbs up for me, subscribe, share with a friend, all that good stuff. And I just wanted to jump into this for you and share it so you're aware of what's going on, right? It's important to know what's happening. So within this, we'll call it the individuals that were there, as well as testimony, was the Secretary of the VA provided testimony, along with testimony from the National Legislative Director of the Paralyzed Veterans of America, the PVA, a great organization, by the way, as well as the Deputy National Legislative Director for the DAV, the Disabled American Veterans, which is also a great organization. And one more, actually I almost missed it, is the Director of the National Legislative Services of the Veterans of Foreign Wars, VFW, also fantastic organization. If you are not involved with any of these, and I guess involved is a funny word. So if you're not a member of one of these, I highly suggest doing it. It doesn't cost that much. I'm not saying go to all the meetings and show up and spend your Thursday evenings or whatever. Simply being a member adds one more veteran to the roster and gives them a little more bite, a little more teeth in their bite when it comes to lobbying for us, okay? These organizations are consistently out there lobbying for us because they're us by us, right? So the way I look at it is, look, you're either going to do it for yourself, like you're going to go lobby to your congressional members and so forth, or you're going to pay somebody else to lobby, and this is a way to do that, right? So with that, let's jump into it. So those are the organizations that were there and provided testimony, again, on the review of the fiscal year 2024 budget and 2025 advanced appropriations request for the Department of Veterans Affairs. This is important stuff because the VA is the biggest thing that affects us in our lives, whether you're going to school and you're utilizing, in today's world, the post 9/11 GI Bill, or you're 100% rated, your spouse is using Chapter 35, you're using the VA for medical care, you're getting compensation, whether it be disability compensation for service connections, or your surviving spouse or family member who's receiving dependency indemnity compensation, all these things. So it's really important, this stuff. So what I wanted to read to you was the Secretary of the VA's response, really, his testimony to the U.S. Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into it here. So this happened last week, but I wanted to wait till Monday to go ahead and read this out to you. So this is the testimony by the Department of Veterans Affairs Secretary. So let's jump into it. So again, his remarks. Chairman Tester, who is the chairman of the Committee on Veterans Affairs, right, for the Senate. So Chairman Tester, ranking members, and distinguished guest members of the committee, thank you. VA will be strengthened by this committee's work. I attach great importance to our relationship, and I pledge to each of you my candor and transparency. Let me begin with a story of a Gulf War and Marine Corps vet. I'll call him Gary. Gary deployed to the Persian Gulf 3 times. Still, after he was honorably discharged nearly 30 years ago, Gary assumed he wasn't eligible for VA care, not until recently, when Gary heard from some fellow veterans that at his local VFW post about their positive experiences with the VA. And I will tell you, many of us out there don't think we qualify for one reason or another, right? So it's really, really important that we encourage those that haven't connected. So anyway, moving on. So Gary started his claims process right away. As part of his compensation and pensions exam, Gary had a colonoscopy that showed he had previously undiagnosed colon cancer. The PACT Act covers that cancer, along with gastrointestinal cancers of any type. As a result, Gary's claim is service connected. He is covered. Most importantly, he's getting the VA care and treatment that he needs, earned, and deserves. Gary said, "This whole process probably saved my life." We're hearing from many vets who shared similar stories since we've implemented the PACT Act. Today, VA is delivering more care and more benefits to more vets like Gary than at any other time in our nation's history. Vets had over 115 million clinical encounters in the past year, with nearly 40 million in-person VA appointments, over 31 million telehealth appointments, and 38 million community care appointments. When it comes to benefits, we set a record last year with over 1.7 million claims completed. And we're on track to break that record this year. Since PACT Act was signed last August, veterans and survivors had filed over 1.6 million claims. That's 29.7% more than the same period last year. Moreover, vets have filed more than 550,000 claims for toxic exposure-related benefits under the PACT Act. To date, over 3 million vets have received toxic exposure screenings, and VA has awarded over $1 billion in earned benefits to veterans, their families, and survivors who filed PACT Act-related claims. Let's say that again. Over $1 billion in earned benefits to veterans, their families, and survivors who filed PACT Act-related claims. Veterans deserve our best, our very best, and with the President's proposed budget, we can continue serving them as well as they have served all of us. This year's budget request is $325.1 billion, the largest investment in U.S. history for veterans, their families, caregivers, and survivors. This year alone, that will mean, but this budget is about more than numbers. It's about mental health and preventing veterans suicide on top of clinical priority, our top clinical priority, which gets $16.6 billion in this budget. It's about ending veteran homelessness, which gets $3.1 billion in this budget, and it's about supporting health care for women veterans, who get over $1.2 billion in this budget. It's about restoring VA's severely aging infrastructure at nearly $10 billion investment. This budget recognizes that the traditional approach to infrastructure funding has fallen far short of providing veterans with modern environments of care. True. All right, moving on. No investment is more critical to our success than the investments in the people we hire and retain here at VA. Remember, they're mandatory overtime right now at VA. So, moving on. So we're increasing hiring, quickly onboarding staff, and incentivizing retention. Overall, we've onboarded nearly 33,000 new employees at VHA, that's the Veterans Healthcare Administration, this year. On our way to our goal of 52,000 new VHA employees. In fact, we hired more people at VHA in the first half of this fiscal year than any previous year. We've hired 6,568 registered nurses, 1,216 licensed practical nurses, and 1,768 nursing assistants. More hires in these three critical occupations than at any time in the past 20 years. Meanwhile, VBA, the Veterans Benefits Administration, been holding regional hiring fairs to interview thousands of applicants. We've extended same-day job offers to nearly 1,100 attendees, putting us on track to fill 1,871 of the authorized PACT Act positions. These successes mean more earned benefits to veterans and new records in delivering outcomes to veterans. Last month, we completed, for the first time ever, over 9,000 claims in a single day. We've completed over 8,000 claims in a single day 53 different times this year, a milestone we have reached only 6 times in the rest of the VA's history. And on April 14th, our VBA team completed its 1 millionth compensation and pension claim this fiscal year, a full month sooner than our record-breaking pace last year. That's a testament to our incredible VA team, the best workforce in the federal government. I'm talking about people like Philip Lyman. Philip grew up watching his own father, Benny Lyman Jr., caring for vets at the Tuskegee campus of the Central Alabama VA. Inspired by his father's service, Philip chose to follow in his footsteps. Today, Philip and Benny have served vets for a combined 80 years at that campus. That's the kind of deep devotion that characterizes VA's people. Thank you. I look forward to your questions. So that is the Secretary of the VA's full testimony to the Senate Committee on Veterans Affairs regarding the fiscal year 24 budget and 25 advanced appropriations request for the Department of Veterans Affairs. So, information is going. Again, the other members that were there who also provided testimony, which I did not read, was the National Legislative Director of Paralyzed Veterans of America, the Deputy National Legislative Director for the DAV, Disabled Veterans of America, and the Director of National Legislative Service for Veterans of Foreign Wars. So with that, we'll go ahead and conclude it. Just wanted to make sure that everybody is up to date with what's going on, because there's a lot of movement and questions and concerns regarding the budget. And so this is where we're at now. That hopefully is going to set us up in a good way. All right, thanks for watching. I really appreciate you, truly. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.